Hello, good morning, friends. Today we are going to learn about systematics of a living organism. We know that systematic is very important to understand the different species of living organisms which present on Earth. So, if not everything has been systematized or has not been set with a well-established plan, so we are not supposed to understand what thing is for what purpose and what is this actually. So let us we understand the importance of systematics and what are the different variety of living organisms are found in on Earth. Okay, so there are five kingdom systems of classifications, that is the protista, fungi, plantae, animalia and monera. So these are the five types of kingdom systems. So there is a great diversity of organisms around us. Since the time immemorial, we humans have been exploiting this wealth for our benefits. During this process, man tried to differentiate between and identify the organisms. Eventually, this evolved into a branch of biology known as systematics or classifications. This branch of classifications dates back to the ancient time when Indian, Greek, and Roman philosophers have contributed their might to systematize science. What is systematics? Systematics is the study of kinds of diversity of organisms and their comparative and evolutionary relationships. The Greek Simpson 1961. The taxonomy. The taxonomy means the classification following the certain rules of principles. Word taxonomy comes from the two Greek words taxis meaning the arrangement and the normos meaning the law or the rules. What is taxos? Taxos meaning the arrangement of the things and the normos meaning the law or the rules. The term taxonomy was first introduced by the A.P.D. Conley, Swiss botanist, in 1778 in 1841. So that classifications, which is taxonomy, means nothing but the classifications following certain rules and regulations of the classifications. So the word taxonomy comes from the two Greek words. Taxis means arrangement and the normos means the rules. The rules of arrangement is nothing but the taxonomy. Classifications. It is the arrangement of an organism or a group of organisms in a distinct categories in accordance with a particular or well-established plan. This classification is based on the similarities and dissimilarities among the organisms. What is the classifications? Classification is nothing but an arrangement of an organism or a group of organisms in a distinct categories. So suppose that we are the human beings and we have been added in the class of mammalia. So in the same way, the creeping animals such as the snakes and lizards which added in the category of reptiles. So it is according to their characteristics and the organisms has been grouped according to their respective categories. Okay, and set a well characterized plan, and accordingly all organism has been categorized, such as plants the has been categorized into the kingdom plantae, the animals which is categorized into the kingdom animalia, and the fungi which categorized in the kingdom fungi, and then monera. So these protistas, these are has been categorized according to the type of organisms which found on earth. This classification is based on the similarities and dissimilarities among the organisms. So according to the similarities, so if we are supposed to be show the some similarities, we are the viviparous animals, that we give the birth to the young ones as well as we feed them. So that all the organisms which are come in this kind of conditions are having such kind of characters, they have been categorized in such kind of category, and because of that we can understand that what type of organisms they are and what is their role and what type of characters they expresses. Artificial. So it is a classification that is based on the few easy observable and non-evolutionary features such as a habit, color, form, etc. So often irrespective of the affinity relationship with the other organisms. Example, linear system of classifications. So there is a other artificial type of classifications in which that we are supposed to know the individuals or any organisms according to their some of the morphological characters. So as per as the comparison to the human and monkeys, that we show some of the similar characters as compared to the head, uh, 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 legs, hands, likewise, and that has been proposed by the Linnaeus scientist. So natural, it is based on the natural classification which is based on the objectivity, objectively significant rather than being an selected for an convenience, like an artificial system of classification. Example, Bentham and Hooker. The system of classification is a type of natural uh, classification systems. In this type of classification system, it is a classification which is based on the objectivity, significant rather than being selected for the convenience. This for objectively, that it is a truly that this is an organisms, and which is not taken as a convenience like an artificial system of classifications. So this natural type of classification has been proposed by the Bentham and Hooker system of classification. So let us we going to understand what are the phylogenetic relationships. It is the classification based on the common evolutionary descent. Example, Igler and Prandtl's classifications. It is based on the evolutionary descent. Descent means from the ancestor parents. So our descendant is our parents. Okay, and our parents' descendant is their parents. So the descendant characters which is transferred that in the next generations, that can be some of the character has been transferred from the parents to offspring. So the detectable characters of that particular offspring, which is nothing but the phylogenetic characters or phylogenetic type of classifications according to the phylogeny, means their characters, that the individual which has been differentiated. There, there, शेळे शेळे आले, शेळे शेळे. In the system of classifications, the terms like taxa and categories are often used. In the system of classification, the term taxa and the categories are used. In the system of classifications, the term like a taxa and categories are often used. Each category is referred to as an unit of the classifications. In fact, it represents a rank and it's commonly termed as a taxon. What is a taxonomy? Taxonomy is nothing but a classification organism in an systematic ways. So there are these are the phylogenetic descendant of an organisms. The first, the bacteria, archaea, and eukarya. So the bacteria, these are the common ancestors. Bacteria is the very smallest organisms. Therefore, we have the archaea. So archaea is an microscopic organisms which is evolved and become an eukarya. So in this way the evolution has been takes place, and that the diversity in organisms has been continuously perpetuating on earth. So let us we understand the three domains of life. It is believed that the life originated on earth in its a very simple form. Constant struggle of early living beings gave rise to the more and more perfect forms of life. This struggle and progress is an evolution which lead to the formation of the diverse life forms. Carl Weiss in 1990 proposed the three domains of life to classify the life forms. They are archaea, bacteria, and eukarya. The domains is a unit larger than the kingdom in the system of classifications. Bacteria and archaea both have the prokaryotic cells, whereas eukarya have the eukaryotic cells. All these three domains have very unique ribosomal RNA. Archaea are known for the survival in a very extreme conditions like the high temperature, salinity, acidic conditions, etc. Bacteria, though are prokaryotes, differ from archaea structure and cell wall. बांध तिला. शेळी तुमची आहे का? तिकडे चालल्या गावाकडे, तिकडे बस स्टँडला चालल्या. जाऊ जाऊ. जाऊ जाऊ शेळीकडे जाऊ जाऊ दे. So, chemotaxonomy, it is a method of biological classifications based on the similarities and differences in the structure of certain compounds present among the organisms being classified. In a short, it is the classification based on the chemical constituent of an organisms, such as archaea. The cell wall is without the peptidoglycan, and that of the prokarya is with the peptidoglycan. So among the eukarya, the fungi and cardenous cell wall, while the plants have the cellulosic cell walls. That is the difference. So students, I hope that you have understood what is the chemotaxonomy. It is a classification based on the chemical composition of an organisms, that is the prokarya, which are having the peptidoglycans, but this eukarya which don't have the peptidoglycan in their cells. So that prokarya with the peptidoglycan. Among the eukarya, fungi have the cardenous cell walls, while the plants have the cellulosic cell wall. So that is the differences according to that what type of the chemical constituent of that organisms, which has been distinct and differences in a different categories, such as in a eukarya, prokarya, and bacteria. Okay, so the chemical classification of an organism according to their chemical arrangement, chemical present in their body. So that type of the classification is known as chemotaxonomy. Natural taxonomy, numerical taxonomy. The system is based on the classification of the characters and develops an algorithms for classifications. The basic aims of this taxonomy was to create a taxonomy using the numeric algorithms like cluster analysis rather than using the subjective evolutions of the properties. This system was first proposed by the Sokal and Snaith in 1963. The, the system is based on the quantification of the characters and develops an algorithm for classifications. The basic aim of this taxonomy was to create the taxonomy using the numeric algorithms like cluster analysis rather than the using subjective evolution of their properties. This system was first proposed by the Sokal and the Snaith in 1963. Therefore, the cladograms. It is a typical branching pattern as shown in the previous page. A diagram of three domains of life is a cladogram. It represents a hypothetical relationships denoting a comparison of an organism and their common ancestors. It is a typical branching patterns. It is a typical branching patterns so that as shown in the previous page, a diagram of three domains of life. It is a cladogram. It represents a hypothetical relationship denoting an comparison of organisms and their common ancestors, such as the common ancestor of all these things is a prokarya. Prokaryotes evolve into the eukarya. So this is nothing but a cladogram. Phylogeny. What is a phylogeny? So it is a revolutionary relationship of an organisms. It is an important tool in the classifications as it takes into an account not merely the morphological status but also the relationship of one groups of organisms with the other groups of life. The systems helps to understand the evolutions and also focuses on the similarities of their metabolic functioning, whose three domains concept as well as the Whittaker's five kingdom systems are very good examples of the phylogenetic relationships. So the phylogeny is nothing but an revolutions it is a revolutionary relationships of an organism, such as that the offspring which is produced from the parents, that which expresses some of the evolutionary characters, some of the phylogenetic characters. So that characters which are nothing but the phylogeny of that parents and offspring. So it is important to take account that not merely the morphological status but also we have to understand the relationships of one group of organisms with the other groups of life. The system helps to understand the evolution and also focuses on the similarities of their metabolic functioning, whose and what are the metabolic functioning of that organism, such as are they herbivores, carnivores or omnivores. Okay, so who is the three domains concept as well as Whittaker's five kingdom systems are very good examples of the phylogenetic relationships of an organisms. DNA barcoding. So DNA barcoding is a new method for the identification of any species based on its DNA sequences from a tiny tissue sample of an organism under the study.